Covering the Fed for the Washington Post. It's a big day for people like you and me who watch the Fed and everything it does. And I think it's important to remind people here, this is something that really reverberates throughout the American economy. There's all this hand-wringing about whether or not we're in a recession. I'm telling you, what's going to happen today is something that pretty much everyone's going to feel, right?
That's exactly right. And on the flip side, people are feeling the reasons that the Fed has to move so aggressively in the first place. The Fed is hiking rates at such an aggressive pace because inflation has gotten so out of control, and people feel that in their daily lives too. They feel it when they're getting gas, when they're paying their rent check or getting groceries. And so, in the same way that they feel the problems in the economy, they're also going to feel the Fed's response as the Fed tries to slow down the economy and avoid even worse
You
problems.
just heard from Mohamed El-Erian there, who is a very well-respected economist. And people like him have been saying, you know, look, they're too late. Now they're starting to raise interest rates into an already slowing economy. They're kind of behind the curve here. What kind of challenge does that bring for Fed policymakers who are trying to rein in inflation at a time we're already seeing the economy start to cool off from last year's very, very strong pace?
Well, the challenge is that the Fed cannot slow the economy with the kind of precision that would be ideal. The Fed has this very broad based tool, which is interest rates, and they can raise or lower them depending on what they're seeing in the economy, but they can't pinpoint a super specific target or super specific pockets of the economy that need to slow. And so we have this risk of an economy that either slows too much or slows too aggressively. And we're still working in a time where the economy is really difficult to read. So many signs about the economy have only become clear with hindsight. And that's obviously not helpful if you're having to set policy now.
Yeah, and I think it's really important what you're saying about all of these conflicting signals in the economy, right? You've got a housing market that is showing signs of topping out, but is still very strong. You have consumer balance sheets that are better today than they were, before the last sort of big crisis, the financial crisis in 2008, 2009. I mean, there's just not a consensus, I think, about where we're going here. I mean, it's almost like we're trying to reset our expectations for this economy after 2.5 years of just craziness.
That's exactly right. And in the same way that there was no playbook to guide the Fed or any other policymakers through the COVID recovery, there's no playbook for where the economy is going to emerge on the other side. And that makes policymaking even more difficult. If you don't know exactly where you're going, it's hard to make decisions now. And again, so many of these things have only become
Yeah.
clear with hindsight.
Some of the smartest people out there who have covered this for their careers are baffled by things that are happening in the American economy. And I think, Rachel, the bottom line for people, if you've got a lot of debt, right, that's going to become more expensive, you just got to get your house in order here, because borrowing costs will keep rising most likely here as the Fed tries to tackle inflation. Rachel Siegel, thank you so much. Nice to see you this morning. You'll have a big day ahead, won't you?
Thanks so much. Same to you.
All right, coming up soon.